So you're thinking about moving to Baltimore, Maryland. You don't want to move here until you hear about these top 5 neighborhoods, my favorite neighborhoods of all time. I'm John. I'm the Charm City Property Dude. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button right about there. And we're going to get to it next. So in other videos, I went over my top 15 favorite things to do in Baltimore, Maryland. In this video, we're going to go through my top 5 neighborhoods that I absolutely love. And they're not in any particular order, this not one over the other, but these are, in my opinion, are awesome neighborhoods. So as a child, my father used to drive a tractor trailer and I used to ride with him to the piers all the time. We'd come in and out of the piers. A lot of these neighborhoods didn't have anything around it. So the first neighborhood we're going to discuss is Federal Hill, located right next to Locust Point. Both these neighborhoods are on the south side of the Inner Harbor. And Federal Hill, you can actually see from the Inner Harbor. It's a humongous hill. It's got cannons along the top. And when I say around there, back in the day, there was nothing there. And now it's sky rises, it's apartments, there's row homes, considered townhouses, and all the investors have come through. And they've completely redone the inside of the row homes with the latest of everything. They've got the granite countertops, the stainless steel appliances. Your colors are like Sierra Mist, gray, and they really turned that neighborhood around. So as soon as you go around the south side of the Inner Harbor, go past Federal Hill, you got all those houses behind there. Then you got the sky rises on the other side. And I tell you, each one of these blocks and neighborhoods, there's each one of them has their set of shops, and there's places to eat. There's Barracudas over there next to Locust Point. There's Locust Point steamers. I mean, great food places, great shopping places. And of course, as you know, Federal Hill, just on the other side, there's Port Covington. And then you have McHenry Road, which is a new avenue down there as well. And it's all encouraged by Under Armour. Under Armour is a humongous employer over there. And they've come through and they've helped renovate that area. And when I say back in the day, I wouldn't have been caught, I'd have been caught dead down there. But now it's I see young couples walking their babies to school. I see them walking with Francis Scott Key. I see joggers. I see, and I've talked to a few people over there, and a lot of them are traveling nurse program. They're doctors. The variety of different employers down in the area that these folks are working for. So Federal Hill would probably be, Federal Hill Locust Point is right there on the top of my top 5 places. It's beautiful, everything's been redone, and it's really come a long way since when I was a kid. Another one of my favorite areas down there has to be, and I'm going to group 2 more places up, would be Fells Point and Canton. So this is on the north side of the harbor. And the good news is that the promenade connects all these neighborhoods. You can start over in Canton and Fells Point, and you can run or walk or bicycle all the way around the Inner Harbor. It's called the Red Brick Road down there. So it's beautiful. But Fells Point and Canton, again, all the investors came in there. They've redone all the houses down there in the latest of granite countertops, stainless steel appliances. In Canton, you have the Merritt Athletic Club. You've got the Avenue right there. And all the great places. My favorite bagel shop of all time is down there, THB Bagel. And everything has just been so done up. I mean, back in the day, my father used to drive through there on O'Donnell Street. There was nothing there but empty lots. And this is storage for all the warehouses that used to come from overseas. But now it's there's an avenue down there. You've got the bagel place. You've got, what is that? The big grocery store down there. Harris Teeter, you got Harris Teeters down there. In my previous life, I used to be an actor. I used to go down there to Broome Street, and we used to go into Broome Street and audition for Pat Moran. I used to go in there and audition for Pat Moran, and when I say there was nothing around there, there was nothing around there. Now you've got the Five Guys, you've got Pizza Mia's, which is a really good pizza place, and just behind that, you have Toomey Street, and you have shopping centers on the bottom, and then you've got your condos, there's apartments. Row homes have all been fixed up. So my second place of all time is Canton and Fells Point, and it's been completely redone from the back of the day. Fells Point was home of Homicide: Life on the Street. That's where they filmed all that. There's an underground like garage down there in Fells Point that you can see. It's right across from Riptide, which is a crab shack, crab restaurant down there. So my second favorite neighborhoods, and I'm going to lump them two together, is Fells Point and Canton. On the list, I have to give a shout out to my family. My father and my grandmother are from Hamden, so that's where you might get the Baltimore accent. And Hamden would be my third favorite place. My dad lived there his entire life. He went to the bar Zizmo's down there on 33rd Street, 31st Street, something like that. Hamden is really a nice place. Again, they've been completely redone. The house that my grandmother lived in, I think they've lived there for like 100 years in the same house, and it's just gone from one family member to the other. But back in the day, I think they were complaining that they had bought the house for like, I don't know, $1,500, and back in 100 years ago, that was a lot of money. And today, I know the neighbors, the investors have got in there. They've done real nice fronts. They've completely gutted the whole inside, and they're going for like $450,000. So not a bad return in 100 years, believe it or not. And then you have the avenue up there, and you have the West Side Cafe that has awesome crab cakes. They have all the little stores up in Hamden. I mean, like Federal Hill has all those little stores, and so does Canton and Fells Point. To have all those little stores and restaurants. Hamden also has a lot of the same restaurants, same stores. They're all locally owned, so you're always going to run into like local mom and pop shops. These are people that live in the neighborhood that are selling their wares to the neighborhood, and everybody's real friendly in Hamden too. And it's right off, 25th Street in Baltimore. It's not downtown Baltimore. It's just slightly above it, minutes away from the Inner Harbor. A great place to live. I know they have apartments. They have some tutors in Hamden. They also have row homes and a couple of brand new sky rises that are towards the north side and the south side of Mount Vernon. So yeah, Hamden would be my third favorite place. That's like 5 right there. So yeah, so we'll get to number 4 here coming up next. Fourth favorite place of all time, and then maybe it should have been first, would be Mount Vernon and Roland Park. So probably about 15 minutes, about 6-7 miles outside of the Inner Harbor would be Roland Park and Mount Vernon. And it's straight up 83. You can't miss it. I'll show you here on the map here in a second, but those houses up there are these humongous Tudor-style houses. I would call them, if they're back in the day, mansions that were located on the surrounding areas around the Inner Harbor. These houses are absolutely beautiful, and that's what encompasses most of Roland Park and Mount Vernon are these humongous houses, and they're like in the 800,000-900,000. But don't let that discourage you from trying to move there. There are also the little colonials. They're smaller houses. They're not quite as big as those humongous houses, and they're usually going in like the upper 2s, mid 3s. So it's very affordable that direction. Sometimes people will look in and see what the average price up in Mount Vernon and Roland Park and be discouraged because those bigger houses are actually skewing the average sales price of those houses. So that was like 6 places, I think, that I gave you here that were my absolute favorite. But if I had a really favorite place, I love Federal Hill. There's something about the colonial days that just kind of hits me in the heart. I think I always say that back during that day, I must have lost my previous me must have lost my life during that time, because I identify with that era. I identify with the Civil War. I identify with World War II too. So it must just be, I don't know. I'm a huge believer in like reincarnation. We come back and we don't do it right. So, but my favorite place would probably be Federal Hill. I like the cannons on top of the hill there. I like the Federal Hill Park, and I also like those the colonials that sit right directly behind that. So, not to mention that I like the corner market. Yeah, I like the Cross Street Market. I like the Cross Street Market. A lot of great seafood, and they got a pizza place in there. Spot on. So those are my 5. You got a little bonus here. My 5 favorite neighborhoods down in Baltimore City, and I just absolutely love the city. I think it's come a long way. A lot of folks are worried about safety and stuff like that, but to be honest with you, it's in pockets. Urban renewal's happening across the way with the city. It's pushing everything into like pockets and stuff, and even that's starting to disappear. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Again, Let me say this. I get a lot of phone calls, text messages, and emails from people just like you, and I absolutely love it. If you text, call, or email me, don't worry, I've got your back when it comes to real estate. I'm John. I'm the Charm City Property Dude, and this has been my favorite top 5 neighborhoods of Baltimore City, Baltimore, Maryland. I'll see you on the next video.